Israel continues to surprise, I guess. This government continues to surprise in its willingness to do bold and courageous actions. This one in particular, not so much a big surprise in terms of capabilities, but a big surprise in terms of willingness to do it. So Israel today bombed the Hamas, a gathering of the Hamas leadership in Qatar. And basically this was the entire leadership of Hamas, including the people engaged, the leadership of Hamas engaged in negotiating with Israel and with the United States with the mediation of Qatar over the ceasefire. And Israel bombed the assembly with the hope of killing the entire leadership of Hamas. And what's bold and I think ambitious and brave about this is that Israel had to know that nobody would support it in doing so. That is, Qatar pretends and plays the game, and everybody plays with Qatar the game, that Qatar is an ally of the United States, an ally of the West. Remember, the United States has its largest military base in the Middle East, the largest airfield in the Middle East, in Qatar. When Iran was retaliating against the bombing of the nuclear facilities, they targeted the airbase, the American airbase in Qatar. So Qatar is a friend of the U.S. That is how the U.S. sees it. That's how the U.S. presents it to the world. That's how Qatar sees it, how Qatar presents it to the world at least. And Qatar is also part of the Gulf states. It's has a rocky relationship with Saudi Arabia and with the United Arab Emirates, but overall, it is part of that community. It is part of that world. So Israel had to know that by doing this, they would be condemned by everybody. Indeed, as we will see, they have been condemned by everybody. In addition, this is the team that they're negotiating with, and yet they're willing to kill them. That suggests that Israel no longer cares about the negotiation. Now, that in and of itself is a bold statement, given 2 years now of Israel negotiating with Hamas in Qatar. I mean, indeed, the head of the Israeli Mossad and the head of the Israeli Shin Bet, the internal security of Israel, have traveled to Qatar and negotiated there. Witkoff is often in Qatar negotiating. And Israel has been committed to negotiating for the last 2 years. And yet, this strike clearly sends the indication that, okay, negotiations are over. This is it. And you all will pay. The immediate justification for this attack that was given was the terrorist attack yesterday in Jerusalem, where a gunman, a couple of terrorists just shot up a bus, killing I think it was 6 Israelis and injuring many others, which Hamas took credit for. So Hamas took credit for the attack. And Israel said, okay, if you're going to take credit for it, you're going to pay for it. And this was in retaliation for that. So Hamas took credit for it. They praised it. They called it heroic. And add all that up, Israel had to respond, and and this was the response. But again, a response that they knew would be incredibly unpopular, and probably fairly unpopular within Israel itself, given that we're talking about negotiating for the hostages, and given that people believe now that the hostages are in more danger now than they ever have been, and many of them might be killed as a response of this attack. Anyway, so that is the kind of the background of this attack. While the attack was going on, so it was involved 10 Israeli aircraft. My guess is F-35s, and which flew over Syria and into Iraq and launched the attack, I believe, from southern Iraqi airspace. They had refueling both on the way there and on the way back. These are very vast distances. And Israel is not flying direct because it is avoiding Jordanian airspace and it is avoiding Saudi airspace so as not to antagonize the Jordanians and the Saudis. So it's flying around through Syria and then down through Iraq in order to get to the Gulf. So it had to refuel the airplanes on the way there, and I understand on the way back as well. When the airplanes were starting to cross Syria and so on, American radars detected them, satellites detected Israeli movement. American command immediately contacted Israeli command and asked what the hell was going on. What was this deal about? I guess the Israelis told the Americans that they were on their way to attack Qatar, to attack the Hamas meeting in Qatar. The American forces let the Trump administration know that this was happening. From what I understand, Trump called Witkoff and told Witkoff to let the Qataris know that this was happening. At least this is the official story, right? But I believe it. I don't think Trump would have ever agreed to this. I mean, Trump is friendly with the Qataris. He's buddies with them. He likes to, Anyway, I do not think that Trump would have authorized this strike if he had known about it in advance. And indeed, it sounds like they told the Qataris about it. Now the question really is going to be, did they let the Qataris know before so that the Qataris could warn Hamas, or did, as some news reports saying, they only let them know once the missiles were in the air? I don't know, but the reality is this, that in spite of the fact that at this building, the entire Hamas leadership was meeting, all of them. We've got Khalil al-Hayya, who is the leader of Hamas, but also included Mohammed Dawish, Musa al-Muzak, Musa Badran, Tahar el-Nuna. These are basically the entire remaining leadership of Hamas, the ones that are still alive, including those who flew in to Qatar from Turkey, right? And the idea was that they were there to discuss the ceasefire agreement, the last one that was submitted by Witkoff. The reality is that it appears that all the senior Hamas leaders survived the attack, in spite of the fact that the building, the entire first floor is devastated. The entire inside of the building looks like it is completely devastated. So one wonders how they survived it, right? And I don't know, and we don't know. I don't know that anybody knows except the people who actually do know. Did the U.S. let them know in advance so as to shield them from it? 5 Hamas operatives did die in the attack, including the son of Hamas's leader and some other prominent people within Hamas, but none of the senior leadership actually died in this attack. So, hard to tell. At least, again, these are the reports that are coming out of Qatar. And Hamas is usually pretty good about admitting when their people are killed, particularly in an open place like Qatar where it can be checked. So it looks like the attack failed to kill the Hamas leadership in spite of the fact that it should have been a surprise, and they were all in this building, and this building was indeed struck, and you can see photos of it with the entire inside of it destroyed. So again, I don't know whether who let them know if this was announced in advance or just the bombs didn't do the job. It could be that they weren't on that floor, they weren't in that building, they weren't in that room. It could be that it just wasn't enough. That Israel needed to launch more bombs in order to destroy the building completely. The building is not collapsed. The building is not completely destroyed. So it's possibly that. It is true, in the meantime, that the United States has condemned the attack. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt has said, quote, unilaterally bombing inside Qatar does not advance Israel or America's goals. The president views Qatar as a strong ally and friend of the United States and feels very badly about the location of this attack. Now, I just want to give you a sense of Qatar. Qatar is well known to be the main funder of ISIS, and was the main funder of ISIS throughout the 2010s. At the same time as the United States was launching airplanes from a Qatari airbase to attack ISIS, ISIS was funding them at the same time. Qatar is also the largest funder of Middle East programs and other programs in American universities that undermine America, undermine Israel, undermine Western civilization at American universities. Qatar is by far the largest funder of that. Qatar is also the only really ally Iran has in the Gulf and in the kind of the Arab world. Qatar has stayed friendly with the Iranians and be supportive of the Iranians in spite of all the Iranians' terrorist activities and development of nuclear weapons. To make it very clear, and I've been talking about this for years, decades, but years, really, at least 10 years, 15 years. Qatar is an enemy of the United States. Qatar is an antagonist, is an underminer of American interest in the Middle East. It's an underminer of American interest in the United States. Again, it funds in the U.S. It is the one funding the demonstrations at the universities. It funds leftist causes. It funds anti-American, anti-Western civilization causes in the United States. If you look at external funders of American universities, you'll find Qatari foundations at the top of the list over and over and over again. Middle East programs, which are anti-Israel, anti-West, all funded by Qatar. It used to be Saudi. It used to be a mix of money. Today it is dominantly the Qataris. Qatar is a force of ill in the Middle East. It is the one place in which the Muslim Brotherhood feels safe. The Muslim Brotherhood, which is kicked out of Egypt, kicked out of Saudi Arabia, has found a home in Qatar and uses Qatar as its base to spread its militant, Islamist, jihadist ideology throughout the Middle East and throughout the world. It also is the place from which they use their propaganda. Al Jazeera is a Qatari news organization, a news organization that does everything that it can to undermine Israel, to undermine the U.S., to undermine U.S. interests in the Middle East. It is to some extent at least, a Muslim Brotherhood media outlet. And of course, Hamas is of course a spin-off of the Muslim Brotherhood. Hamas was the Muslim Brotherhood of Palestine in its origination. Qatar also facilitated huge amounts of money to Hamas and houses Hamas leadership and has housed Hamas leadership for years and years and years. So it is placed host to some of the world's most brutal, horrific, murderous terrorists. And yet, unilateral bombing inside Qatar does not advance Israel and America's interest. The President views Qatar as a strong ally. Indeed, according to the White House, President Trump was only notified about the Israeli strike, once it was happening. And that the president, quote, feels very badly about the location of the strike and has assured Qatar. He immediately spoke to Bibi. I'm sure he yelled at Netanyahu. And he then immediately spoke to the emir, the dictator of Qatar, and assured Qatar that there will be no further attacks against its territory. And basically gave the riot act to Netanyahu, explaining that that was now the rule. So this administration continues to coddle dictators, to appease evil, to negotiate with evil. And it continues to, hamper Israel's efforts to defend itself. The United States, years ago, certainly after October 7th, should have withdrawn its support for Qatar and denounced any attempt to negotiate with Hamas. Hamas has played Israel. It's played the Americans. It plays the negotiations for time. It never gives direct answers. It never gives definitive answers because it is playing for time, because it knows time is on its side. Why? Because it's funding all these protests, and it knows that the longer this takes, the more Gazans die, the more they can pretend there's famine, the more pressure the world community will place on Israel, the more isolated Israel becomes, the more Hamas wins. And that has been the strategy from the beginning. Trump is doing what Trump does. One day hot, one day cold. He supports Bibi on some things, and he restricts Bibi on other things. And he is friendly. His primary alliance in the Middle East is not to Israel. It's not to Bibi. It's the Saudis, and it's the Qataris. The Saudis have already, of course, denounced this. The Jordanians have denounced this. Pretty much all European countries have denounced Israel's action. And the United States will not stand by Israel on this one because of its commitment to the Qataris and its friendship to the Qataris. And again, the fact that the United States continues to try to negotiate with Hamas is weakness. I think Israel finally has figured out the right attitude. The right attitude is to kill Hamas leadership wherever it happens to be, find them and kill them. If they fail this time, it is sad. It is maybe even a tragedy. But they should keep at it, no matter where they are. In Turkey, in Qatar, no matter where they hide, they should know that they will never be safe, that Israel will hunt them down and kill them. And no matter what America thinks, Israel will destroy every last remnant of Hamas. At the same time, Israel is trying to kill Hamas leadership. It has also issued a sweeping evacuation order this morning, calling on all Gaza City residents to immediately leave by designated corridors, while Israel intends to strike and enter Gaza City and basically take control over the entire, into the most populated region in Gaza. The notice that was issued today states that, quote, the IDF is resolute in defeating Hamas and will operate in Gaza City with overwhelming force, as it has done throughout the Strip. It instructed residents to, quote, evacuate immediately. Supposedly more than 100,000 have already evacuated the city, with between 100 and 300,000 remaining in the city. According, Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar has said that Israel's committed now to ending the war based on Trump's proposal in accordance with the principles established by its Security Cabinet, which means the defeat of Hamas and the destruction of the Gaza Strip. Israel will take Gaza City. Now, it can't kill every Hamas member. Many of the Hamas members are evacuating with the rest of the civilian population. They dress up as civilians and they evacuate. But taking control over the city, the one place where Hamas has operated over the last few months fairly freely, the one place where there are still many tunnels from which they keep attacking Israeli forces and in which they are holding the hostages. I do believe that the chances of recovering the hostages and getting the hostages out of Gaza alive is very low at this point. As Israel advances, it is likely that Hamas will kill the hostages, as it has done in the past. But this is the only path available to Israel. The only path available to Israel is the complete occupation of Gaza and the complete destruction of Gaza, because every building, every tunnel is a place in which Hamas can establish itself. It's a place in which Hamas can try to ambush Israeli soldiers. It's a place in which Hamas can hide its own troops and to hide hostages. Israel has to control the space. It has to control Gaza, take it over, and determine its long-term fate itself. It cannot trust anybody else to do it for you. I'll just take this question because it's relevant to what we're talking about right now. David says, what if Hamas is hiding in Turkey? Should Israel attack them there? I'll just say that if Hamas is in Turkey, then no, I wouldn't say that Israel should launch aircraft and bomb a building in Turkey. But Israel has done, you can do it in other ways. Israel could send assassins in and kill them there. It's assassinated terrorist leaders in Western countries, so there should be no restriction on trying to do it in Turkey as well. But yes, absolutely, they should try to kill them in Turkey. They should kill them in America if they're in America. They should kill them wherever they happen to be, wherever they are. They should worry about their phone exploding. They should worry about their car exploding. They should worry about somebody putting a bullet in their head or somebody pricking them with a poisonous needle. They should live in fear for the rest of their life, under the fear of being assassinated. Assassination, death, is the only thing these monsters deserve. And I think Israel has now made it clear that they're willing to do that. Sadly, instead of supporting that, the United States is condemning the attack and giving Hamas breathing room. It's giving Hamas space to survive for another day. But that is the tragedy. But that is, again, this is completely and utterly expected of an unprincipled administration that cozies up to dictators and that has shown over and over again its sympathies to Qatar. So it's sad. It's sad that this is the Trump administration's position, but it's not that surprising. It's not so surprising at all that it is that. So what's really sad is that Israel failed to kill the people that needed killing, which were the leaders of Hamas. So it does seem like, well, 5 of Hamas's members, fairly well-known people, were killed. The main target, particularly the exiled Gaza chief Khalil el-Hayya, was not killed. They'll try again, hopefully next time. But there's a missed opportunity. I hope it doesn't turn out, because this would be really tragic, that it is the United States that tipped the hand and saved the lives of these Hamas leaders. In Israel, they're very worried now about what happens to hostages and whether the hostages will pay the price for this attempted assassination. Right. And Hamas will use this. Hamas have used this to try to tear Israel apart by blaming Israel for whatever happens to the hostages. All right. Let's see. I'm just checking out if there's anything new that has happened, anything live that's happened. Here, the son of Hamas, Masoud Hassan Yusuf, who is the son of a Hamas leader, who's been in the West, has become very pro-Israel and very pro-Western and very anti-Hamas. The son of Hamas has come out and said the strike in Qatar should have been done 2 years ago, and I agree completely. Too late. He is so good. He is so uncompromising and principles. Yes. Let me see if I can get you to do a quote from him. Here it is. This should have been done almost 2 years ago. Masoud Hassan Yusuf, known as the Green Prince, told the Post. Qatar funded Hamas for many years. Hamas took sanctuary in Qatar. They thought they could not be reached, and they thought they were immune. To remind you, Yusuf's father was Sheikh Hassan Yusuf, who was the founding member of Hamas. He says Israel's actions send an unequivocal message. Quote, there is no immunity to those who kill innocent civilians, who butcher civilians and take hostages, then blackmail a nation in an attempt to bring the Jewish people and Israel as a nation onto its knees. And then he says, I don't think it's in their interest to harm the hostages. I think Israel did well by cutting this chain of brokers over the hostage situation. So he said, Yusuf believes Israel has a better chance of negotiating directly with Hamas's military wing in Gaza, with the guy directly responsible for the hostages. So, and they need to stop negotiating with the people in Qatar at all. So, Haddad, he says, now Haddad knows that if he's not going to seal a deal with Israel, he is going to be dead as well. So I think that the chances, in my opinion, are better. We will see. We will see. Remember, Qatar is a tiny little country, but it has a lot of money and it has a lot of influence as a consequence of having a lot of money. All right. So put that aside. Israel will be entering Gaza City in the days to come. Scary times, I think, for many Israelis. Certainly scary times for if you have any relatives in the Israeli military. This is not going to be easy. This is going to be, again, street to street, building to building combat, urban combat. This is why Israel's trying to evacuate as many people as possible so it can come in, but everything will be booby-trapped. Israel's done really well in minimizing its own casualties, relatively speaking, in its entry into Gaza in the past. Let's hope it continue to do this. I have my nephew is I don't know if he's in Gaza, but he probably will be in Gaza. So I should call my sister and find out because not good. All right. Anyway, that is the story in Israel. We will see where this develops. I fear that the world turning against Israel will only intensify with this attack on Qatar because of Qatar's massive influence. I mean, can you imagine Tucker Carlson right now? I mean, Israel just attacked his sponsor. And many people on the American right who are sponsored by Qatar. There's a lot of Qatari money flowing into the United States, as I said, not just to the left, but to the right as well. And so there's going to be a lot of people flipping out over this on the left and on the right.